Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to another episode of the Date Yourself podcast. I'm so proud because we're almost at 20 episodes. And I want to thank you for listening, for following, for subscribing. It means the world to me. I love that we're becoming this little community of people who love to date themselves. Anyways, today I want to talk about how old keys don't open new doors. And probably this is something that you know already, but you needed a little reminder, so let me give it to you. This is something that I stumble upon many times recently as well, where you get stuck on a certain problem and you think that there is this solution for it, but it's just not, the key is not fitting in the keyhole. It's not solving your problem. So what do you do in that moment? Especially if this is something that has been dragging on and on and on and on. So it's something that you've been dealing with for a long time. So what do I mean with old keys don't open new doors? Well, it's kind of the saying also of if you keep doing what you've always done, I'm not quoting it right, but it's like it's not going to give you a different result, right? How can you start to do something else when you think that you know the answer? Or you don't know the answer, so you don't know what else you can do. It's all about perspective. And it's also about introspection. Seeing that maybe you are the problem. And hear me out on this one, because it's not that simple. I want to give you some examples of what I mean with this. So, for one example, I just quit Instagram a few weeks ago. And it's not like quitting, like I deleted the app. I also posted a carousel, so it isn't really quitting, but I quit the algorithm game, where as a business owner, I felt the need to be posting every day on TikTok and like a few days a week on Instagram, creating new content, reels. And I'm a perfectionist. I love to take a lot of time to think of what I create. I'm also creative, so like I even did a sketch, and I have like a series on is this the thought that you have? Let's rewrite it, right? So I love to make content, but I stopped getting energy from it. And so then I was at this point where, oh shit, I don't feel good about what I'm creating anymore. I'm feeling empty by creating content. I could have blamed the algorithm, which to be fair, no one likes the algorithm. I also don't think that the algorithm is made in a fair way. I think it's because of Facebook Meta wanting to make a lot of money. And so we're all playing this wretched game of the Instagram algorithm. Or I could just be like, why am I even playing this game then if it makes me feel empty? And when I was able to admit that to myself, instead of making more content to be seen, I recognized that it doesn't make me feel good if I'm striving, if I'm fighting to be seen, and that was making me empty. And so that's why I stopped doing that. And so yes, I did post a carousel, but in the description, I was really honest about like, I don't like Instagram anymore like this. I'm just going to be posting what I want to be posting, as in what makes me happy, which were pictures of nature. That's how I started on Instagram. And so I'm not sure who also misses the old Instagram, but I certainly do. But as a business owner, there are certain rules that you can play into as to how people can find you, right? And so I had a lot of fun with it until I didn't anymore. And so I could keep going, but I already felt burned out. And so that's what I have been doing for years. But maybe I was the problem. Maybe I just had to admit to myself, like, this does not make me feel good. I feel empty right now. Why am I playing this game? Let's stop doing this and focus my energy elsewhere, which is exactly why I'm recording this podcast, and have been, by the way, because I have loved this and I still love this. I just focus on my podcast and my YouTube right now. Maybe I'll go back to it when it feels good, but I have to listen to how I feel about it truly and what I can do about it truly. So another example, this one was really personal. It's still kind of like this fight in my head sometimes of like what you should do, which is something that we've talked about on here before. I sometimes still doubt myself of like, but I do like the personal contact that I have on Insta. So there are also good sides of Instagram, right? Maybe I'll go back to it, but for now, no thanks. So another example is that maybe like you've missed an opportunity. There was something that you really, really wanted, like maybe a position at work, or maybe like a friend of mine just put an offer on a house and they would have gotten it, but there were some issues which made her not being able to get it. And so she missed out on that really big, cool opportunity, which was so disappointing, so sad for them, her and her partner. But I talked about this to my mom as well, and she was like, that's exactly what happened to us as well when we wanted to buy our first house, me and my dad. And so they had to wait, and then the house that they currently own came on the market. And this house is like the best in our neighborhood that you can get, in my opinion, because like I know I am like biased because it's the home that I grew up in, but it's like surrounded by parks. It's really close to the city center. Like all these things, has a big yard and whatever. So it had to be that way because the house that they wanted to buy did not look like this one. And so if they would have gotten that house, I wouldn't have gotten this house. And so I do believe, and this is also what my friend said, like, I know that there will be a better opportunity for me. That is your perspective. You could say like, oh, the universe doesn't love me, or I don't deserve to get the things that I really, really want because I didn't get it. Or your perspective could be, there's something better out there waiting for me. There is something that has already been placed on my path, but I just have to come across it and then get, like later you get why it didn't work out. And then another example is making mistakes. So maybe making a mistake at work or things not working within your business. You could say like, I am a failure. I did it wrong. I cannot do this. I am a failure. Maybe you quit. And there's not a lot wrong with quitting. I've quit a lot of things, but that was because I knew that by quitting, I would find something better. There's a difference in that because being a failure is perspective, but you could also say I'm learning. I'm learning. Through mistakes, you're learning. Because successful people also have made a lot of mistakes so they could know what worked and what didn't work. If everything is going smoothly, you're not learning. You have no idea why it works, and you have also no idea how to move forward. That's through trial and error. And so you're not a failure because you made a mistake. Mistakes are good. That's also a perspective, right? You see how we fill in the blank of what something means. You can create a really big problem, a lot of insecurity, a lot of doubt, or you see a lot of opportunity. And that's why I love that phrase of old keys won't open new doors, because this can be seen in a really practical sense as to if you have been doing all the things that you have been doing and nothing is changing, you could change up the way you have been doing things as in practical, like steps and habits or whatever. But it's also about perspective. And this is, of course, what I do within my coaching. It's all about perspective. So usually I get to look at what is your perspective and how can we change that perspective around so you can see opportunities. And you guys probably know that I love EFT, tapping, the emotional freedom technique. So everything that you do with EFT starts with even though. Even though this thing isn't working right now. And then you say, I love and accept myself. If you accept what is happening right now, you take the pressure off. Because there is a lot of pressure that can come with this problem that you're trying to solve, right? It's not working, it needs to be like this. A lot of control that you're trying to have around it. Because we need to solve the problem. That's how the mind works. The mind wants to solve the problem. If there's no problem, the mind is just trying to create a new problem because it has to have something to be worrying about. So how can you get rid of that tension of that trying to control things? Well, the first step is to accept it, because then you don't have to control it anymore. If you accept, there is peace. So maybe you can try to say this with me. Even though I have this problem, and maybe name that problem. Maybe I have this problem of not getting the job that I want. Maybe I have this problem of feeling burned out. Maybe I have this problem of not getting through to this person. Whatever it may be. Even though I have this problem, I choose to deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Just feel how that is. How it feels if you say that to yourself. That's true acceptance. That's loving yourself through it. Just let's say it one more time, because I know that repetition works with this. So even though I have this problem, I choose to deeply and completely, you can repeat it in your mind or out loud. Even though I have this problem, I choose to deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Just let those words sink in. Maybe say it another time if it feels really good. Maybe take a deep breath. Because you are still deserving of the things that you want, even though some things are not working out right now. Doesn't mean that you're a failure. It means that you're learning. It means that there are still so many other things coming. This is not the last stop. This is not the end goal. There are still so many things that could go really differently. So many possible outcomes. Maybe there is something completely different on the other side that you could not even think about happening. Maybe there is an opportunity coming to you soon. Maybe you're just gonna drop everything and move to another country and have the best life there. Who fucking knows? There are so many different outcomes that can play out that we don't have control over. And that's another thing. Trying to control how things will work out. And this is going to be a different conversation that is going to be difficult to hear for the mind. And so if you get triggered, just notice, keep listening, or click off if you want to, but I want to invite you to keep listening, because we are trying to control so many things in our lives. And I get that, because I do the same thing. I just know of this pattern that makes it sometimes easier to get out of that loop. I'm gonna be honest with you. I used to be a control freak. I sometimes get into that pattern because life is scary, especially with all the things going on in the world right now, which we have at least I have no control over what is happening in the world right now, and that scares me as well. There's nothing that I can really do. And so we try to, especially if we see things happening outside of us, we try to get control in another way. And so our mind can come up with all these things that maybe neurotic patterns or coping mechanisms to make us feel safer, right? That's trying to control things as well. But we have to understand that we don't have control. We have control over certain things. We have control over how we choose to show up for ourselves and others. We can control how we speak to others, how we decide to spend our time. Those are things that we can control. And then the other things are life happening, are magic happening, are people and places and circumstances being placed on our path to deal with, to learn from, to grow into. And those are the things that we sometimes try to control because we are scared of new ways of being. We're scared of growing. We are scared of becoming something more than we have been because it feels unfamiliar. And so what I see happening within my life and my client's life also is that we are trying to keep ourselves in those comfort zones while we know that we are having to grow into a new version of ourselves. We're trying to keep ourselves safe in that comfort zone by trying to control everything, by trying to find familiarity in things that are not working. because it scares us, because we're not ready to move into that new phase yet. But because we're doing this, you see, if you're watching on YouTube, I have my fist clenched. It makes us feel smaller. It makes us feel tired because we're pushing so much to try to keep the old. And so when we let go, my hands are opening right now, you create space for life to happen, for that magic to come in. I also call it the flow. Because flow is when you allow, when you accept what is, and you allow what is. And then you get into this flow. You know, when you are, for example, writing something, and suddenly you get this flow of inspiration, and you just, like, the words flow onto the paper. You just know what you have to say. This also happens in conversations where you're giving genius advice and you're just like, whoa, where did that came from? That's flow as well. Or you're just like gardening or something and you get into this meditative state. That's also like flow. When flow happens, things tend to get easier. And flow can happen in more areas of our life. I've had these periods of flow when I made difficult decisions to change jobs or to let go of something or someone. And then things just started to flow. Like the right opportunities came on my path, like a new job or new people when I let go of old people. I certainly had the answers to questions, and I was able to get out of my comfort zone and do these new things when I let go of the control that I didn't even have, because life was already showing me through different scenarios that where I was trying to stay was not where life wanted me to be. Because life is always an expansion. The human experience is us growing, us evolving, learning new lessons. That is what life is about. So to think that we have control and we can stay where we are all the time is an illusion. And it's only going to get more and more uncomfortable if we try to stay there. And so my invitation with this is to listen to your intuition. And the way that you can go about that is to get still, to maybe be uncomfortable with yourself. Because the reason that we don't get still, the reason that we don't choose to listen to our intuition, because it's a choice, is because we feel that the answer can be uncomfortable. Because we already know what the answer might be. We're fearing that answer because it also means change. But like I said, change is inevitable. That is life. That is exactly what we're doing here. And what if that change was the best thing? Just like my mom and dad got this house that they didn't even know was on the market. They thought that they wanted that other house. That's the control. That's what you know. That's the comfort zone. If you let go, you have no idea what is going to be placed on your path. And yes, it can be a bad experience, but that's also learning. That's learning how to be discerning. That's learning how to speak up for yourself, set boundaries, and then know what it is that you do want through that bad experience. And sometimes listening to your intuition is nothing more than admitting to yourself what it is that you actually want, what does not feel good, and admitting to yourself what you do want and what does feel good. And the reason that we're not listening to our intuition sometimes is just because we feel comfortable in the not knowing. We feel comfortable in trying to stay in that place of, I do not know what I want. Yes, you do. It's just uncomfortable to admit it. And that is also the place where we have to begin to not say or speak of the problem lays outside of us. I do not know what I want, so tell me what I need to do. We give other people the authority over our life in small ways and maybe bigger ways. Depends on what you let other people decide over, right? I want you to claim that power back. I want you to create that space to be uncomfortable and to be honest with yourself. To let the magic in, to let flow in. You do not know what is on the other side, but you can trust that your intuition, which is your soul, which is here to learn and experience and create a beautiful life for you, is wanting you to have the best. And that can only happen if you grow. That can only happen if you learn these lessons, if you follow that voice that already knows what it wants. Why would you want to stay stuck, uncomfortable, in a situation that you know that is no longer serving you? Yes, it might feel comfortable now, but what if on the other side you feel peaceful, you feel expansive, you feel full of life, you feel abundant, you feel so loved, so seen, so appreciated. You learn new things about yourself, you expand in ways that you didn't know that you could have before. That's what lays on the other side. And so we cannot have control over other people. They're going to do what they want to do, just like you are. We cannot have control over their circumstances. Things happen. The only thing that we can control is how we see the situation. If we make it a problem or we see it as an opportunity, and I know that might sound like something easy, and it's not, I know. It comes with being honest about what we want from life, what we accept from life, and who we want to become. So take a moment to listen to your intuition. Maybe you can do it now. Maybe you can do it with me in a coaching session. I can help you do this to make it less uncomfortable, to let that voice flow for you to be able to hear everything that it wants to tell you. It can be that easy. If you want to show up for yourself, you have to be willing to hear it. You have to be willing to tune in. And then just move from there. Admitting is the first step. Like, it doesn't mean that you have to make a decision tomorrow or right now or take the action that is required immediately. Just knowing what it is that you want, admitting it to yourself and accepting the situation. Loving and accepting yourself even though you're in this shit situation. Or even though you don't know. But actually you kind of do know, but it's really scary to admit. That's okay. You don't have to have it all figured out. It's just about being honest. It's just about listening to yourself. Making yourself happy. That's why we're doing that. That's why I record these episodes. That's why I have Date Yourself. That's what dating yourself is about. What is the most loving thing that you can do for yourself right now? Is it just running away from what you know already? Or is it admitting and accepting it and loving yourself regardless of it? And then just seeing how it all works out, how it all plays out. Because I promise you, when you admit, when you are honest with yourself, the next steps will begin to show up. Because you have, this is what I believe personally, but this is how I have recognized it and seen it play out in my life time after time. If you admit it, you create the space for the universe, for your soul to start dropping hints of how to move forward. Because now you are focused on what it is that you want. If you keep closing your eyes to it by not admitting it to yourself and just trying to control, you're not going to see the next steps. You're trying to close your eyes for them. And so if you admit it, if you are focused on it, you're starting to see it. And it's going to play out for you. And so you can set the intention or do a little prayer about, like, I choose the thing that is for my highest good. The highest good is always the thing or the experience that will be the best for you and the people involved, for you to grow the most, for you to be the happiest. So whenever I am admitting something to myself or saying, like, okay, I want this, I know that this isn't working, so what I need right now is this. I want this, universe, and the best possible outcome for the highest good. This always makes me feel like I know that the universe, my soul, will guide me on that path to the best thing, and not try to get my ego too involved, my mind too involved of the shoulds, what I should be doing, what it should look like. No. I do not know what magic is on the other side. I cannot comprehend the things that are being placed on my path, the people that I will meet. Just like my parents could not think of this house being on the market and it being the best thing. If I'm going to think of all the things that I need to happen, I'm going to limit myself to the things that I know. But what if there are things out of my control that are better and that I could not even know about? If I'm going to limit myself to those things that I think are the best thing, maybe I miss out on better opportunities. And so yes, I'm going to set the intention. I'm going to pray for something even better for my highest good and the highest good of everyone else involved as well. That keeps it all open. And saying that also makes me feel really good. It makes me feel really optimistic and like there are so many opportunities out there, which there are. And so you're going to be fine. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Just accept and love yourself through it and try to get a new perspective. Just be open to a new perspective. That is the first step. Then if you know what it is that you want and what you don't want, set the intention for something new, for a new key, and start to follow those hints that you will see. They will be placed on your path. You will know what to do as long as you trust yourself, as long as you keep showing up for you, as long as you keep being honest to yourself. If that's your intention, the next steps will reveal themselves to you. Really hope that this helps. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Love you guys, and I hope to see you in another episode. If you want to work with me, you can check the description for my links for more information, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.